Hey, what's going on? This is Troy, and this is the Planet 76 podcast, your source for Sixers news, highlights, hot takes, and more. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, everybody. Planet 76. Jumping right into the episode. My name is Michael. Troy, as well, is back with us. I think I did 2 solo episodes.
You did.
That was fun. I'm not going to lie. That was fun. I obviously really enjoyed doing episodes with Troy. But solo episodes are fun, too. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go check them out. They're available everywhere. YouTube, you know the drill. Troy, let's get right into it. Do you have any thoughts on the past few games for the Sixers? Obviously, we'll get into tonight a little bit more, but do you have any thoughts at all over the past week or so?
Yeah, I mean, number one, like you just said, carrying the load over the past few days. You did a great job, for sure. I was able to check out the 2 episodes you did in their entirety, and they were spot on. Helped to fill me in even on what I missed Sixers wise. But it's kind of interesting. So you recorded after Maxi's 50-point game against Indiana. And then the Sixers played, 2 more games, and their first 2 in the loss column since the opening night in Milwaukee. And then I think he recorded after the Boston game on Wednesday night. There were games that were there. They were both at home. To lose back-to-back at home was a little interesting. That doesn't happen too often. But I think it just, it almost felt like Wednesday night going to play Boston after playing Indiana 2 consecutive games, who likes to run and get out there, and you gotta, run up and down the floor if you're, defending them. Kind of was a challenge, I think, Wednesday night. So, the Celtics didn't play Tuesday, Sixers did, and then Celtics got the 10-point victory. But Sixers did right the ship tonight with the victory over the Atlanta Hawks, 126-116, part of the in-season tournament. And with that, the Sixers needed that to kind of keep their hopes alive. They improved to 2-1 in the in-season tournament. Their final game coming up on Tuesday against the Cavs. But we'll fix on tonight first. What did you see? Even just a quick look at the box score, what you saw late in the fourth quarter where the Sixers were able to seal the deal. What'd you like tonight against Atlanta?
I really liked the way they played in the non-Embiid minutes. Not usually, but a lot of the times the Sixers struggle without Embiid. And yeah, obviously, because he's the MVP, he's their best player. But having the, luxury of being able to not always win those non-Embiid minutes, but play well in those non-Embiid minutes is going to be a huge difference maker this year for this team. They did a really good job of that tonight, and that's something that I would like them to build on. And obviously, you're not going to get a bunch of times where Embiid isn't on the floor. He's going to play. I think he's averaging like 39 minutes a game, so he's going to be on the floor a lot. But you have to really, really put an emphasis on those non-Embiid minutes, because if you can win those non-Embiid minutes, it's going to be huge. The Sixers have had issues in the past of losing horribly those non-Embiid minutes, especially in the playoffs of years past. That's got to be a point of emphasis for Nick Nurse. I imagine it is, but that's got to be a point of emphasis for Nick Nurse. Yeah,
no, that's a big key, because it's been a point of conversation for us, for Sixers media, for the last 4, 5, 6 years maybe, about those non-Embiid minutes. And I think if there's a coach you can be confident in to handle those well, it is Nick Nurse. He does play his guys a lot. I mean, you look at tonight, Tyrese Maxey played 40 minutes, Embiid 37, Tobias Harris 38. Speaking of Tobias Harris, had a season high tonight, 29 points, 10 boards. Pretty efficient, 12 for 23, 5 from 3. And then a guy that you like to talk about a little bit also had a season high, Danuel House with 14 in his 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So the one guy, now Nicholas Batum has been away, I guess, the last couple games for personal reasons, but the one guy that just hasn't seemed to get it going quite yet for the Sixers is Marcus Morris. He just got in for 2 minutes tonight and didn't get a shot up. He He's played some more minutes in previous games. He had one decent game, I think maybe it was that first one against Boston, but man, I mean, obviously we want to get Kelly Oubre back, and the word is he might be back sooner rather than later, which is great news. That he's doing well enough to hopefully be back soon, but kind of an interesting thing. I want to look at what Trae Young did tonight. Trae Young, 22 points, 5 of 14 from the floor. He did have 13 assists, but Sixers obviously did a decent job on him. It's crazy that you're saying 22 and 13 is a good defensive game, but when you hold him to 5 for 14, that's pretty good. Someone that's played well as of late, too, has been DeAnthony Melton. What have you seen from him, even in those couple episodes that you did? I'm sure you talked on it a little bit. I know you did. What have you seen from him this week?
Bit of a shaky week for Melton. He had 30 on Sunday. He had 30 against the Wizards, and that was huge. I think he hit. Let me just double check because I really want to be right about this. He had 30. He took and made 10 free throws. Pacers on Tuesday. I can't speak.
The game we lost, right?
Yes. On Tuesday he had 30. He made. When did he make 10 free throws? Where's that game? Yeah, it was Tuesday. He had 30 points. He took and made 10 free throws.
Wow.
He was 4 of 6 from 3. I mean, that was one of the best games of his career. It was the best game of his season so far. He's definitely struggled from a shooting standpoint. Defensively, he's looked good. Just shot selection kind of iffy, and he hasn't really been hitting his shots. 3 for 10, 1 for 7, 4 for 9, 1 for 6, 3 for 10 to start the season. Since then, it hasn't been a whole lot better. He was 5 for 10 against the Celtics. He had 16 points. The shot will fall, and he also does bring a lot of other great qualities, like his defense, his rebounding, all great things for a guard. Really valuable traits for a guard to have. And he's really good at those things. So I think eventually the shot's going to start falling. We're going to get more of that 30-point game more frequently. Obviously, he's not going to average 30, but we're going to get that a little more frequently. He's going to get closer to like 16, 17, 18 a night, which I think he's very capable of doing.
Yeah, I mean, a game like that, just reminds you of what he brings to the table. And, Nick Nurse has even said it, that what he brings defensively, we know is going to be there night in, night out. The more that because he's a starter. I mean, he is in the lineup. He is there. And the more that he can bring offensively, the better this team's going to be. It's kind of similar to Tobias Harris. Now, different players. Tobias Harris alone. Look at his contract. Like, he's expected to do a lot. But kind of a similar thing. The more that Tobias gives you, when he's out here dropping 29 and 10, like, that's a game you think you're going to win, considering you know what you're going to get from Embiid and Maxey. So, pretty encouraging stuff there from Tobias, especially tonight. Tobias, it seems like sometimes the matchups he gets in games, you can just you can see him get the ball wherever he catches it, down around the paint, and you can see he's got a smaller guy on him, and you just know he's going to be efficient. Tobias, in matchups that he should be efficient in, he's very efficient, is kind of what the eye test gives me, at least. As we've grown to watch Tobias Harris over the last few years. So, and I think Nick Nurse is helping him to get into spots where he can be successful. I do want to, just a couple questions for you. So if we go into our everyone's favorite segment, the Coach Mike segment, which is brand new, a week or two ago. So obviously the two losses, Tuesday, Wednesday night, they fell to 8-3. Tonight against the Hawks, improved to 9-3. But you're playing Eastern Conference teams, right? You play, two of those are the in-season tournament with Indiana and Atlanta. You're playing Boston. We played Boston twice already at home. What are some things that you take away, whether you like them or you don't like them, about just how the Sixers have fared against these teams in the Eastern Conference right now?
One thing, I think how the Sixers specifically fare against Boston, I think it's kind of a mix of both games, because The Sixers did obviously end up winning the first game against Boston. They did lose against Boston the second time around. However, they did come back from down 15, and they also built up quite the lead against Boston on Wednesday. So I think if you look at the rest of the East, I think the Sixers fare pretty well. I think full disclosure, there are a few teams that the Sixers haven't played yet that could provide good competition. The Heat, the Knicks. They only played the Bucks once, and they only lost by 2, I believe, in the first game of the season. So there's that. Beat the Hawks tonight. Lost to the Pacers. Beat the Pacers. I'm not too concerned with that. I think the Sixers still are the second or third best team in the East. That's not really going to change unless the Heat just... they've rattled off 7 in a row. I was just about to say... unless the Heat just go on a crazy streak, they have. I still think the Sixers are better than them.
Yeah.
I think I'm still pretty firm in my thoughts before the season in terms of, we still need real time to properly evaluate this team in terms of what they are and what they could be, because we're 13 games into the season. We don't actually know what this team is yet. Not to mention all the new guys coming in. Mars still hasn't really played. Oubre's only had a few games under his belt. Covington, there's still some continuity, not issues, but there's still some progression that needs to occur with the continuity with the team, with the roster, with the guys on the team, the new guys. So I'm still kind of weary on, hey, they're going to be this, they're going to be that. But I think I can confidently say, though, that they're the second best, or I should say third or fourth best team in the East, I would say. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. You bring up kind of waiting still to see this team at full strength.
Yeah.
Because, as much as we've praised the fact that they have depth, it's a really good thing that they have depth because of what they've had to deal with already with Kelly Oubre, what they've had to deal with Nicholas Batum, being away from the team. There's only been 1 or 2 nights where it's been, okay, this is everybody on the roster and they're available. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out once we do get those guys back, and if no moves are made in the foreseeable future, just to see how this team operates at full strength as the season continues to push on. It's hard to believe that we're already 12 games in at 9-3. It is hard to believe, but now there's only 70 to go. All right, there was 82 to go once, and now there's 70 to go. So I will say too, on the the in-season tournament, Sixers improved to 2-1. They have Cleveland on Tuesday night. If they win that one, they're at 3-1. As we know from Group A, B, and C in the Eastern Conference, the top, whoever wins each group advances, and then there is just one wild card. All right, so the point differential is key. Sixers for point differential right now, it says they're a +4. Because obviously there could very well be, if the Sixers beat the Cavs, there could very well be some other 3-1 teams vying for that other wild card spot. And the reason I say the Sixers, looking best for the wild card spot is the Indiana Pacers are 2-0, and they beat the Sixers already. So unless the Pacers drop to 2-2, Pacers hold the tiebreaker over the Sixers if they both finish 3-1, because they beat them in the head-to-head. So the Sixers' best case is a wild card. All that to say, it's a really good thing that they won tonight against Atlanta, took care of business, and obviously someone as a wild card is going to make it at 3-1, and it might not be the Sixers, but we'll see how it is. If they beat the Cavs by 30, it's going to help their point differential needs.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. The early season glow, early season aura of the Sixers, if you will, is kind of dying down. We're kind of really getting into the season now. Games are kicking off. Players are playing. Guys are pretty much in shape for the season for the most part. So the next couple weeks, I think, are going to be really telling for this team, into Christmas, into the new year, that kind of area. We're going to see a lot of this team. We're going to hopefully get Oubre back in full capacity, 100% healthy. Kelly Oubre is going to help a lot.
Right.
Batum, Covington are going to be more acclimated to this team. Next couple weeks are going to be very telling for this team, and we're going to have it all here covered for you on Planet 76.
No doubt. So, upcoming schedule real quick. The Sixers, go on the road to Brooklyn Sunday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern time tip.
Gotta win that.
All right, I know we got listeners. We need to start, when you say times, we need to start giving them Eastern time because we got listeners all over.
Shout out to the listeners.
Simpler for them.
Where we got listeners from, like Australia or something?
We got listeners, yeah, everywhere.
Shout out to everybody who listens from other countries.
So that is an interesting time, 3 p.m. Eastern tip against Brooklyn.
Yes.
And then, the game we already talked about, Tuesday at home against the Cavaliers to close out group play in the in-season tournament for the Sixers, 7:30 on TNT. And then they hit the road for a back-to-back at Minnesota Wednesday. All right, and, and the next day is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving.
On Planet 76 from Planet 76. Hope you have a great week, and we will see you next time we record in just a couple days. We're rolling out episodes all the time, man, so it's not a weekly thing. This is a 3 or 4 times a week thing, so be on the lookout for more episodes, and we'll see you then.
You just listened to an episode of the Planet 76 podcast. Hey, we appreciate you joining us for this episode. Whatever platform you're on, why don't you hit that subscribe button for us, and we'll see you next time.